How far has NBA changed? Since the introduction of the three-point line in the 1979-80 season, the National Basketball Association, NBA, has been transformed. Back then, the teams were reluctant to shoot three-pointers in the beginning, whereas players like Steph Curry and James Harden are leading a three-point revolution today. The big guy game of basketball gave way to a positionless sport of spacing and long-range shots. A decade ago, George W. Bush was in his first term as president. Gas was much cheaper, Nelly was all over the Billboard Hot 100, and the NBA was a different league. And not just because Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Stephon Marbury, Brad Miller, Steve Francis, and even Michael Jordan were still all-stars, though you might want to let that marinate for a bit. Player turnover is a fact of life in the NBA, wherein the average career length as of 2010, according to Weak Side Awareness, was a shade over 60 years. So too are periodic tweaks to the rules. Over time, though, both factors have contributed heavily to a shift in the way the game of basketball is played at the highest levels. Want to know about it in detail? Well, stay tuned till the end. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will talk about how far NBA has changed. Meanwhile, subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon. That being done, let's start. Let's revisit the early 2000s snapshot, especially the 2001 to 2002 and 2002 to 2003 seasons. The Morris Podoloff MVP trophy was presented to Tim Duncan. The Larry O'Brien trophy was presented to teams built around dominant big men, Shaquille O'Neal Lakers in 2002 and Tim Duncan's Spurs in 2003. And the Rookie of the Year award was presented to talented forwards, Pau Gasol in 2002 and Amare Stoudemire in 2003. There were at least 8 players on all NBA teams in 2001 and 2002, with Duncan and Shaq making the first team. Kevin Garnett, Chris Webber, and Dirk Nowitzki are on the second team, and Dikembe Mutombo, Ben Wallace, and Jermaine O'Neal on the third team, who can play center. That number fell to 7 in the 2002 to 2003 season when, in an ironic twist of fate, Mutombo was unable to earn a spot among the coveted top 15 teams in the league. However, Mutombo was one of only 4 traditional bigs on the 2002 Eastern Conference. All-Star team, along with Sharif Abdur-Rahim, Alonzo Mourning, and Jermaine O'Neal, Duncan, Dirk, Garnett, Webber, Elton Brand, and Karl Malone were on the West's own 6 players. 7 if you include Shaq, who had to leave because of an injury. In addition to Jermaine O'Neal, Zydrunas Iglauskas, Ben Wallace, and Brad Miller served on the East in that capacity in 2003. Shaq and Yao Ming took the place of C. Webb, Brand, and the Mailman, which resulted in a drop in the West's overall score from 6 to 5. However, that 2003 All-Star game nearly featured NBA players of record size. West coach Rick Adelman had Shaq, Yao KG, and Duncan on the court at the same time. He could have gone for the full 7'5" if he had put one Dallas Mavericks All-Star, Dirk Nowitzki, on the court instead of another, Steve Nash. Now let's follow Doc Brown's lead and return to the past. Or, if you prefer, the future. 2 teams, the Mavs in 2011 and the Miami Heat in 2012, have won the NBA title without relying on a traditional low-post presence. In addition, a point guard, Derrick Rose, in 2011 and Kyrie Irving in 2012, and a point forward, LeBron James in 2012 and Blake Griffin in 2011, have won the MVP award and the Rookie of the Year award respectively in those 2 seasons. There were 7 big men on the 2010-11 All-NBA teams, but only one of them made the first team, Dwight Howard. This season, there were 6 players, and 3 of them, Griffin, Dirk, and Kevin Love, were primarily found on the perimeter. Regarding the All-Star game, the East had 5 bigs in 2011 and only 3 in February, Howard, Chris Bosh, and Roy Hibbert, whereas the West had 5 bigs in 2011 and 6 in 2012, with Griffin, Love, and Dirk representing their conference once more in Orlando. To put it another way, even though the NBA likes to say that it is big today, it was much bigger 10 years ago, and more like a traditional big man's league. It's not like the players have necessarily shrunk. For the past quarter of a century, the NBA says that the average player is 6'7" and weighs 220 pounds. In 2011, Antoine Wright earned the title of Mr. Average by fitting that exact description. Take into consideration the fact that Dirk Nowitzki is the only player 6'10" or taller who has remained relevant among the elite of the NBA during the 2 previous 2-year periods that were examined. He was an all-star and all-NBA performer at the time, and he still is. Dirk's game, at least on offense, has not changed significantly throughout. He is still primarily a 7-footer with a sweet shot who can draw attention to himself and demoralize the opposition with his trademark one-legged fadeaway jumper on the block. 10 years ago, Chris Webber and Kevin Garnett were both able to handle the ball and hit jumpers, but neither would have been considered primarily perimeter-oriented. In general, there were still very few players in the NBA who were 6 foot 8 inches or taller and could play guard. Today, not so much, with Nowitzki joining LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, Blake Griffin, and others in that regard. Since the NBA became modern in the 1980s, point guards and combo guards have risen to perhaps their most prominent positions in the game. Derrick Rose, Chris Paul, Deron Williams, Tony Parker, Russell Westbrook, Steve Nash, Rajon Rondo, Ty Lawson, Kyrie Irving, John Wall, and Ricky Rubio are among the top-notch franchise-caliber floor generals from the 2011-12 season. Kyle Lowry, Goran Dragic, Jose Calderon, Stephen Curry, Brandon Jennings, Monta Ellis, and Mike Conley are also on the fringes of the discussion. However, the NBA's top 2 teams have benefited from more than just a radical shift in grassroots basketball culture. Changes to the rules in recent years have also contributed to the simultaneous decline of big men and rise of perimeter players. As with the widening of the lane, the introduction of the shot clock, and the establishment of the three-point line throughout NBA history, the loosening of restrictions on zone defenses, and the tightening of those governing hand checks and other forms of contact away from the basket have continued to siphon the advantage away from the bigs toward guards. The influx of international bigs who play like guards, most notably Dirk, has only served to highlight the trend toward and popularity of big, versatile players in a league that is always changing. Therefore, it makes sense that the true center has become somewhat extinct, and that this shift in NBA basketball's paradigm has resulted in a more open game, with so many people choosing to play other positions, and the rules rewarding them for doing so. The middle will unclog and the remaining spreading of the floor will follow. People of ideal center height are rare. This does not, however, imply that the conventional center is dead or incapable of winning in today's NBA. Actually, the contrary is true. Employing a low-post big man has a significant advantage due to their rarity. The Orlando Magic's reluctance to trade Dwight Howard away and the league's feeding frenzy to acquire him in light of his ongoing indecision are not coincidental. At center, Howard is a talent that only comes around once every decade, and that's putting it mildly, because he is such a game changer and is so big and so good for his size, he consistently ranks among the NBA's 2 or 3 most valuable players each year. To put it another way, he occupies a basketball niche that is so rare these days. Having said that, the notion that a team cannot win a championship without a true center, regardless of whether they are of Howard's caliber, is long gone. This spring, the Heat did not have one. Rather, during their run to the NBA championship, they used power forwards Chris Bosh and Joel Anthony, as well as LeBron James, to fill in the middle. Unless something dramatic happens in the ongoing Dwightmare saga, they will be favorites to win the championship again next season. Likely without a true center, we definitely are going to continue to look for someone in that spot, but unless there's an injury, we really don't need a center. Heat president Pat Riley told the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. In reality, that is the point. If a team plays a style of basketball that takes full advantage of the current NBA rules, it no longer needs a center. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments down below. And that's all for today, guys. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update from us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you at the next one. Until then, peace.